For over a century, witnesses across the Australian Outback have reported phantom lights that defy explanation, and the Australian government has quietly studied them the entire time. The Min lights aren't folklore, they're documented. Between 1910 and today, hundreds of credible observers, truck drivers, station owners, police have filed accounts of inexplicable luminescence moving across the red desert at night, not once, repeatedly, in the same locations. And what we're about to examine is how the official story kept changing, and what that tells us about what's actually happening out there. Let's start with the name, Min. It comes from a small station near Boulia, Queensland, a place so remote that the nearest town is a 2-hour drive across scrubland. Around 1910, a man named Jack Saunders reported seeing a glowing ball, roughly the size of a human head, floating above the paddocks. It moved, it pulsed, it was there, and then it wasn't. Exhibit 1: the consistency of the sightings. This is crucial. Over the next century, witnesses didn't just report a light, they reported the same light in the same area exhibiting the same behavior. It appeared on roads between Boulia and Winton. It moved horizontally, sometimes against the wind. It responded to observers, growing brighter when approached, dimming when vehicles stopped. That's not random atmospheric noise. That's intelligence, or at least the appearance of it. By the 1960s, the sightings had attracted attention beyond the local pub. Newspapers ran features. Scientists began asking questions. And here's where the official narrative crystallizes. The Australian government, through various agencies, began collecting reports, quietly. No press conferences, no public acknowledgement, just files accumulating. Exhibit 2: the scientific explanations arrived suspiciously late. In the 1980s and 90s, researchers offered a consensus theory: ball lightning, a rare atmospheric phenomenon where electrical discharge creates a glowing orb. It's real, it's documented, and it solved the problem perfectly for the authorities. Suddenly, the Min lights weren't a mystery anymore. They were physics, case closed. But there's a problem. Ball lightning doesn't move the way witnesses describe. It doesn't hover, it doesn't respond to observers, and it certainly doesn't appear consistently in the same geographic corridor for over 100 years. Ball lightning is chaotic. The Min lights are predictable. Those are two different things. Exhibit 3: the alternative explanation nobody wanted to discuss. In 1995, a physicist named John Pettigrew published research suggesting the lights might be caused by a combination of rare minerals in the soil, particularly iron oxides, combined with specific atmospheric conditions. Not ball lightning, something else, something local, something tied to the geology itself. His work was published, it was peer-reviewed, and then it largely disappeared from mainstream discussion. Why? Because it was complicated, because it required further study, because it didn't fit the neat narrative of solved mystery. Bureaucracies prefer closure, they prefer stories that end. But here's what you need to understand: absence of explanation isn't the same as solved mystery. The Min lights continue to be reported. As recently as 2015, new sightings were documented by credible witnesses. The phenomenon hasn't stopped, the official interest simply has. Exhibit 4: the government archives. In 2012, through Freedom of Information requests, documents surfaced showing that Australian authorities had compiled hundreds of reports dating back decades. Not just witness accounts, meteorological data, soil samples, electromagnetic readings. Someone somewhere was taking this very seriously. Those files remain largely unreleased. We know they exist. We know they contain data. We don't know what conclusions were drawn. And that gap between evidence collected and conclusions withheld is where the real mystery lies. So what are the Min lights? The honest answer is we don't know. We have theories: ball lightning, geological luminescence, plasma phenomena, misidentification of conventional light sources. All of these have merit. None of them fully explain the consistency, the responsiveness, the geographic specificity of the reports. What we can establish as fact: something is happening in the Australian Outback, something unusual enough to warrant official investigation. Something unusual enough to keep investigating for over a century, and something unusual enough that the authorities preferred to offer a convenient explanation rather than admit uncertainty. Here's the question I want you to sit with: if the explanation was truly ball lightning, why did the government need to collect soil samples? Why electromagnetic readings? Why the secrecy? What would you have done in their position? Released partial findings, admitted they didn't understand, or quietly filed it away and moved on? The Min lights remain unsolved, not because they're unsolvable, but because the evidence that might solve them is locked away. And that perhaps is the real phenomenon worth examining, not the lights themselves, but our relationship with official silence when confronted with genuine mystery. Subscribe. Every week, we examine one unsolved case that authorities would rather forget.